Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today we have a lot to talk about on today's program surrounding the Washington Commanders. First up on the show today, we're going to be talking about some trade candidates that a new article lists for the Washington Commanders this year and why I completely disagree with these two trade candidates that this article lays out. Then we'll get into Brock Purdy, the San Francisco 49ers quarterback, who says that he predicts a bounce-back season for Deebo Samuel with the Washington Commanders. Then we get an NFL clown in the NFL media who predicts a 7-10 record for the Washington Commanders. I'm going to tell you why he's an idiot later in today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. Get us started on today's program by boosting the algorithm a little bit. I know I'm just a selfish YouTuber here that just wants you, another guy that wants you to click that thumbs up icon, but it really does help out the channel, guys. So if you enjoy our content, you want to help us out and help put this video in front of more Commanders fans like yourselves, click that thumbs up icon to kick off today's show. So ClutchPoints' Douglas Fritz, all right, Dougie, says that the Commanders should consider trading Luke McCaffrey and Ben Sinnott, two second-year players on offense, if it means they can get an edge rusher in a trade. This is what Douglas had to say in his article. McCaffrey started only 4 games as a rookie, caught only 18 passes, and totaled 168 yards with no touchdowns. He wasn't invisible, but even with a weaker wide receiver room, he didn't make an impact. This year, the Commanders are stronger at the position. The question is whether McCaffrey could bring in enough value to help at another position. The Commanders desperately need a reinforcement at the edge rusher position. Now, personally, guys, I'm not too interested in shopping Luke McCaffrey, okay? He was really valuable in special teams last year as a kick return man, did a really good job with that. And then the reports out of OTAs and minicamp this year is that he was flying all over the place with the first-team offense. Remember, Noah Brown went down with an injury. Terry McLaurin wasn't there. Luke got a lot of opportunities with the first-team offense, and he was flying around out there making plays all over the place. Hopefully he's going to be able to come in here in year 2 and really show himself as one of the bright young players in this offense. So personally, I'm not too interested in letting him go. And then Douglas said this about potentially dealing Benjamin Sinnott. Says the Commanders got next to nothing from Sinnott in 2024. He totaled 5 catches for 28 yards with 2 games started last season. So listen, man, rookie tight ends rarely are day one impacts in the National Football League. Like the Sam Laportas of the world, the Brock Bowerses of the world, they are very, very rare. Usually it takes at least 2, sometimes 3 years before a tight end really comes into their own, because there's a lot of different responsibilities and there's a lot of different things that you have to be able to do well as a tight end to be able to be effective at the National Football League level. You got to be very savvy. You got to be highly intelligent. Obviously, you have to be in tip-top physical shape. You have to have super high football IQ. Like, being a high-end tight end is one of the toughest jobs in the National Football League today and one of the toughest jobs in all of sports, in my opinion. And here's the thing, guys. Sinnott's going to have every chance to be tight end 1 in 2026. Again, Zach Ertz is back on a short-term deal. Sinnott's going to probably be injected into the offensive game plan a little bit more this year than he was last year. He's already talked about at OTAs how he already feels a lot more comfortable heading into year 2 versus where he was in year 1. And I do think he's going to get a bit more workload this year. And if he shows out a little bit, I do think that they may move off of Zach Ertz as this team's number 1 tight end and go to Sinnott for the future of the position, because he's a great route runner, got really quick feet for the position. He's a tough rusher after the catch as well, so that's going to be a value that he brings to this team as well. And personally, I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do this year as this team's number 2 receiving tight end. Of course, you've got John Bates as your blocker, and you've got Zach Ertz as your possession type guy. But Ben Sinnott is somebody that I think could get some manufactured touches this year. He's not going to be on the field all the time, and he's going to have to earn everything that he gets in this offense. But I'm personally pretty darn excited to see what Ben Sinnott in year 2 is going to be able to do, because he does have the physical skill set to be a future starter in this league. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you trade Luke McCaffrey or Ben Sinnott to get a top edge rusher in a trade? Let me know yes or no down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, and when that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments. So now San Francisco 49ers quarterback and Deebo Samuel's former teammate there with the Niners, Brock Purdy, says that he thinks Deebo will have a bounce-back season right here with the Washington Commanders. This is what Brock had to say about his former teammate. I love Deebo. Day one, he's always had my back and believed in me when I got in. Deebo was nothing but great to me, building me up and giving me confidence. I hope he goes to Washington and kills it and does great. Anytime you get Deebo the ball, man, you never know what can happen. People see things online, but they don't know it's probably walkthroughs or half-speed drills, talking about all the people making fun of Deebo's drills this year. I know when the season comes rolling around, Deebo's going to have a chip on his shoulder this year for sure, but he's going to be just fine. And I completely agree with Brock Purdy on this issue here of Deebo Samuel. I think that what he does well, he does at an elite level, okay? And, he's got his limitations. He's not a route-running savant. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not going to be like a 4.3 speed guy that takes the top off a defense. But what he does at a really high level. And Cliff Kingsbury, I think, understands what he does well, and he's going to use him to really be a weapon in this Commanders offense. The thing that he does well, 4 things. He runs after the catch. He run blocks. He's great in these in-breaking routes like slants and drift routes and digs. And then he's very versatile in terms of where you can line him up. You can line him up in the sniffer. You can line him up in multiple running back sets. He can just be a true halfback if you want him out back there. You can be a slot receiver. He can be an outside receiver. He can really put him anywhere in the offensive formation. Now, I want to talk a little bit specifically about his run after the catch ability. Okay, here's a tweet from Warren Sharp detailing how even last year, okay, apparently Deebo was fat and out of shape and terrible last year for the San Francisco 49ers, if you believe NFL Twitter. But even last year, he led the NFL in yak per reception. So that's yards after the catch per catch last year with 8.3 yards after the catch per reception. That was number 1 out of 64 eligible wide receivers in the NFL last year. So Deebo, in my opinion, is the perfect complement to Terry McLaurin, because Terry McLaurin in this offense is your alpha true number 1. He can run every route in the book. He's a great deep threat. He's got great ball skills. He does everything that you want out of your number 1 wide receiver. And then to complement that, you have an elite underneath type of receiver in Deebo Samuel that can run those secondary type of routes like slants and digs that Jaden Daniels can get to on the backside of concepts. You can throw him a quick screen, and he's going to be able to pick up a lot of yards after the catch. You're going to be able to throw screens to other players, and Deebo's going to block his ass off. You can put him in the backfield and use him as a running back. There's so many different ways that you can use Deebo Samuel as a gadget-type, Swiss Army knife type of player where he's not going to be asked to do traditional wide receiver stuff. So even if he's not the best route runner, even if he isn't the fastest guy in the world, even if he is a little bit bigger and maybe quote-unquote fatter than some of the other receivers in the league, the things that he does at an extremely high level, and I believe in a guy like Cliff Kingsbury to use him in the right way. Now, coming up here on the Commanders Report, Adam Rank from NFL Network has a terrible record prediction for the Washington Commanders. I'm going to rip him a new one here in just a second, but before we get into that, if you didn't at the beginning of today's show, here's a reminder to click that thumbs up icon if you're having a good time, if you appreciate the content that we give to you guys for free on this channel. Help us out here, guys, by clicking that thumbs up icon and boosting that algorithm today. Okay, so now let's get into Adam Rank, who is just famous for his terrible record predictions. I think NFL Network puts him out there because people know just how bad some of these record predictions from him have been in the past. And he has the Washington Commanders with a 7-10 record this year after all the moves that they made in the offseason, after going 12-5 and making the NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback last year. He thinks the Commanders will win not 1, not 2, but 5 less games this season. This is how he thinks the Commanders' schedule will play out. He does have them beating the G-Men in week 1, but then 3 straight losses, including to Las Vegas, one of the worst defenses in the league, and Michael frickin' Penix Jr. in week 4 in Atlanta. Then you get a win against the Chargers. I actually think that's a game they probably lose. And then you go 3 straight losses versus the Bears, Cowboys, and Kansas City Chiefs. He does have them getting 4 straight wins after this, though, with Seattle, the Lions, Miami in Spain, the bye week, and then getting a win versus the Denver Broncos. But then after that, losing 4 out of the last 5, losing to Minnesota, New York, Dallas, and Philly to end the season. So Rank's record prediction for the Washington Commanders this year is 7-10. That is the official picture from the NFL Network stream yesterday, and it's an absolute fucking joke, guys. It's just this team last year had no secondary, a way worse offensive line, and a first-year quarterback in Jayden Daniels, who was great, and he carried this team, but he's going to be even better this year because not only does he not have any injury issues coming into the year, but he's more comfortable in Cliff Kingsbury's system. And he's got Laramie Tunsil. He's got Deebo Samuel. All right. He's got Ben Sinnott on another year. Luke McCaffrey on another year. All right. I really, really like this team this year, guys. So let's just throw Adam Rank's, record prediction in the trash here. And let's go over my updated 2025 record prediction for the Washington Commanders, because this one's going to be more worth your time. Okay, let's start with these first 10 games, okay? I think they're going to start really hot. 4 straight wins. I do think that Packer game on the road, a primetime game, is going to be a toss-up game, but I feel really good about their chances of winning Week 1, Week 3, and Week 4. I have them losing to the Chargers in Week 5, a physical football team on the road. I actually have them losing 4 straight in kind of their cold stretch of the season. Chicago's going to be a tough team this year, in my opinion. Dallas, I think they'll split with those guys this year. Kansas City on the road will be tough. But then after that 4-game losing streak that I'm predicting here, guys, I think it's going to be pretty much smooth sailing the rest of the way. I think they win versus Seattle. I think they match up very well against Detroit. We saw that in the playoffs last year. I think they beat Miami in Spain. I also think they beat Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos in Week 13, the Minnesota Vikings on the road in Week 14. I don't think J.J. McCarthy will be all that great this year. By the time we get to Week 15, I'm expecting to see Jackson Dart, and I don't think he's very good, so I think the Commanders will get the sweep versus the Giants this year. I have them splitting versus Philadelphia, but it's kind of weird. I have them losing at home, but winning on the road in Week 18, and then, of course, beating the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas in Week 17. So at the end of it all here, guys, I have a 12-5 record prediction for the Washington Commanders, which is the same record that they had last year, and I think that is more than fair, okay? Some people might say, Jack, they were 12-5 last year with a worse team. Shouldn't they win more games? But sometimes, the NFL just works this way, right? The Commanders won a couple games last year that they probably shouldn't have, right? Pulling Jayden Daniels after losing to the Cowboys in the season finale, Marcus Mariota magically wins the game at the end. How about the Hail Mary game against Chicago, right? The Commanders might have been 12-5, but they weren't a true 12-5 team last year, in my opinion. This year, I think they earn every bit of that 12-5 record, and I think they put them right in the mix to win the Super Bowl this year, this time as NFC East Division champions. So predict it for me down there in the comment section. How many wins will the Commanders have this year? Will they have 12, 11, 10? Will they get up to 13, 14, or 15? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. I currently have this team winning 12, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. That'll be it for today's edition of the Commanders Report by Chat Sports. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, go raise some hail.